Hi everyone, it's your favourite Atomic Blonde here, back from her holes. Whoops, I'm just knocking things over here. Great stuff. Okay, how you all doing? I hope you're well and have had a good week. So, as I said, I've been off and recharging the batteries. That was very much needed. So, yeah, I had a great time. As you can see, caught a bit of sun, which is very little of in the UK right now. It's a little bit brighter today, but it's been raining literally since my feet touched the tarmac. Getting back last weekend. But obviously being away, what that has given me a chance to do is watch some shows, which is great. So I've got quite a few things to talk about today. And catch up on some films at the cinema, etc. So let's get stuck in, shall we? Oh dear, it's been a while. I think it's in the right place, all of that malarkey. So cheers. Let's tuck into our Sunday lunch, shall we? So, okay, let's do this. So, first on the list, whoops, get ahead of myself. The Penguin. So, obviously, this is an offshoot or a spin-off, whatever you'd like to call it, from Matt Reeves' The Batman, which, done okay at the cinema. I think fair to say mixed reviews. I thought it was all right. I think, like most people, it's far too long, and the last third of the movie really wasn't necessary. But not a bad addition. Obviously, we definitely had worse. But again, I think this is one of the things that we all sort of looked at and thought, why? Do we need this? Another grungy, grounded show set in the Batman world without Batman. So I guess expectations weren't high at all for this show. So we're 2 episodes in, and I have to say I'm pleasantly surprised. This is actually a really good show. Now, I like it, and the introduction on the first episode, there's sort of a bit of a montage that kind of catches you up between what's happened since the end of the Batman film and where we are with the Penguin. So that does reference what happened in the film with the Riddler blowing up the seawall. And it obviously references to Batman and that he is around somewhere, doing whatever. But past that, this really could just be any kind of drama. So to that degree, I think in some ways that this, that could switch people off. Or for me, actually, I'm quite enjoying it. We've got the whole story. I mean, this is obviously basically the rise of Penguin. We've seen other previous shows that have come out, like Gotham, etc. That you've got the mob family, and Penguin's involved with that, and it's all about Penguin taking over that empire effectively, and how does that happen? Obviously, Colin Farrell is reprising his role as the Penguin, and the makeup is outstanding for this. And I have to say, Colin Farrell is absolutely brilliant in this. I'm really enjoying him. This guy, I mean, he's just so versatile. His breadth of work is huge, but he is absolutely fantastic in this. Now, I know that he has sort of said some things about how he doesn't want to do a season 2. Because getting in the makeup every day. I mean, obviously he's wearing like a fat suit and all this kind of stuff. And if the show stays on its current trajectory, because as we know, there's a lot of shows we get that start off okay or good and then go off a cliff. But if it stays on its current trajectory, I think, let's say tell a very complete story that you kind of go, actually, no, I think one and done's better. It would be a shame if we don't get a season 2. So, yeah, it's all sort of set up so far. First couple of episodes, very light on spoilers because I really want you to go see this, is kind of setting up what happened since the head of the mob has been murdered. So there's obviously a power gap. His son is set up to take over, but his son is into drugs and drink and basically really isn't a bit of a liability. and he treats the Oswald Penguin's character really badly. He's always belittling him and having a go at him, and always like sort of butt of the jokes and stuff. And he just basically snaps, and the Penguin Oswald just kills him, and then he just kind of kills him, and then he's like, oh fuck, what have I done? He literally goes, oh fuck. So he's like, Christ, what have I done? So then it's all about him trying to dispose of the body and how can he frame someone else, because obviously the family will come after him and kill him if they find out. So he sort of ingratiates himself with the rest of the Falcone family. And we start off with seeing Sophia is in Arkham, but she gets out by episode 2, and this is a seriously disturbed woman, which he then kind of aligns himself to. But the first 2 episodes is kind of setting all this up, the world building, who the characters are, what are the interactions, what's the dynamics, but done in a really good way. It doesn't drag. And we're like really teed up now for sort of all hell to break loose with this kind of because he's managed to set up another family that did this, so we're all primed for sort of all out gang warfare. The actress that plays Sophia is great so far. Not over the top hammy, unstable, but doing a really good job, and clearly some bad stuff's been going on in Arkham, not unsurprisingly. So so far so good. I'm really enjoying this show. I'd say if you like, I'd definitely say you don't have to be into any kind of superhero, DC, anything like that. And if you actually really don't like it, I'd still say, but you're into like your Sopranos, The Wire, general sort of mob Goodfella type shows and films, based on the first 2 episodes, you will really enjoy this. And definitely has that Sopranos feel and ring to it. That's part of the reason why I'm really enjoying this. There's quite some levity in the character as well. He's not a good guy, and he's not even being painted as like an anti-hero, which is very common these days. He's clearly a bad guy, but he's got that old mob rules. Like there's certain things you do, and there's certain things you don't do. And you look after your people, and you look after where you come from and your family. And there's a storyline with his mother who's got dementia, and how that's playing out, which obviously can cause some issues down the line. Obviously, it's quite tragic and sad as well. So there's lots of things teed up at the moment. Hopefully, they'll all pay off. But I'm really pleasantly surprised by this, and looking forward as to what is going to come next. So check out The Penguin. Obviously, you see it's on Max in the States, and it's on Sky Atlantic, so either on Sky or Now TV here in the UK. Episodes drop weekly on a Monday. So do check out The Penguin. Love to know your thoughts on that one. So do leave me or drop a note in the comments. Let me know. Thumbs up, thumbs down, Penguin. So next one, Monsters. So I reviewed the first season of Monsters, which was the Jeffrey Dahmer, which I really enjoyed. I loved that. I know there's been a backlash. I don't know why specifically, because there's so much true crime stuff out there. So to pick on that one specific show, bit odd. I don't think they portrayed him in any kind of positive light that people were sitting there going, oh, Jeffrey Dahmer. So, but anyway, I think this is Ryan Murphy. So this season 2 is the Lyle and Eric Menendez story. If you're a certain age, I do remember that I was pretty young, late 80s. No, I was a teenager just. I was about 14. Excuse me, when this happened. And so for those who don't know, excuse me, Eric and Lyle Menendez murdered their parents. And initially, they're 2 Beverly Hills kids from a very rich family. Eric was like a tennis professional. Lyle also played tennis as well. Their father worked for like RCA Records, and prior to that, you know, he self-made, came from Cuba, came over to the States, met their mother at university. They got married very young at 19. And then you see like their mother's basically sort of alcoholic / on pills, probably Valium or Prozac in the 80s, I should imagine, something like that. And their father is very hot-tempered, very Latin temper, very domineering, controlling, but say highly successful. So the whole thing about the Menendez brothers, it's never been in question whether they murdered their parents or not. That's fact. It's always really been what was behind this murder. Was it purely for money because they were going to be cut out of the will, or as they say that there was SA involved? And obviously the only people that know the truth are Eric and Lyle and the parents. So this is basically examining this whole thing, because initially when it first happened, they called that they shoot their parents with shotguns, which is pretty loud. They're expecting someone to call the police saying, look, hey, we've heard gunshots. Didn't happen. I don't know where the neighbors were or why nobody ever raised the alarm. That in itself is a bit weird. But anyway, especially in Beverly Hills, it's not, you know, don't have people being shot all the time. So they ended up having to phone the police and report it, and they're all tearful and somebody's killed my parents. So initially they try and make out somebody else did it, like the mob, because of the people that his father deals with. Obviously, and it was pretty solid for a long time, but one of the boys confesses to their shrink that they did it, and then through some shenanigans, which I'm not sure is wholly legal, he ends up playing the tape to the police, like without a court order or anything like that, which you shouldn't ever do. And they obviously end up getting arrested for the murder. Now, through the trial, all this comes out about abuse, physical, emotional, and sexual for the two boys, and they blame saying that their father had abused them since they were like 6 years old, 8 years old. Basically, their mother knew and turned a blind eye to it. So that's what the boys are saying. This constant controlling, and Lyle had threatened his father because he was still abusing his brother Eric right up till he was like 18 years old. And Lyle found out that this was still going on and threatened to blow the whistle on his father. They're saying that the way the father reacted and their mother, that they were basically going to come after them. So it was like us or them. So we killed them before they could kill us. It's basically, you know, it's years of abuse. Something snapped, and they truly say they feared for their lives. So I really enjoyed this. What Ryan does well, and he also did in the first one, it's basically showing the story from all perspectives and angles. They really do it, and so you can make up your own mind. They're not saying one way or the other what's true or what's not true. And obviously, this is a dramatization, not a documentary. So, you know, some things are a bit embellished, some things have been left out, some things are in a slightly different order to the actual events, but it's pretty close to, you know, what we know about the events. So the two actors involved who play Lyle and Eric are just brilliant. They're really, really good, believable. And, you know, at the end of the day, it is quite shocking. You know, this thing really happened. And the level of overkill, I mean, I think both parents were shot at least 10 times with shotguns. So it's pretty horrific murder. And they do show like the photos of the aftermath and things like that. So again, it's that same, it does have that level of realism and gore, I guess, for lack of a better term, that the first season had. But I really enjoyed this. I think 9 episodes. If you liked the first one or you like your true crime, do go check this out. Again, great production values, very well done. Really enjoyed it. And then on Monday, the 7th of October, there's an actual documentary about this, interviewing the real life brothers. I mean, they have sort of said, look, this is a load of nonsense. This is a dramatization. I, you know, don't endorse it. And that's fair enough because, again, they showed all sides. So it's not necessarily massively all favorable towards them. It's a very, say, balanced view, and whose side do you take or who do you believe? But if you watch it again as a drama, really enjoyable, loved it. They've already said they're doing a season 3. It was 8 games, I think they're doing. Don't know really anything about that because I think it was like back in the 40s or something. So we'll have to see how that one plays out, because obviously both of these are kind of in sort of recent times in people's memory and people that people have heard of. Games outside of the States, I don't know how many people will actually know or have interest, but if it's as well written as these first 2 seasons have been, it should be really good. So another thumbs up for me if you like your true crime, like your sort of whodunit mystery kind of shows. Very well written, very well acted, great cast. Go check it out. Okay, a bit of change of tone, sort of slightly, I don't know. The Substance. So there's obviously been a lot of talk about this film. Sort of body horror, I guess. There's a lot of people say it's a genre that it's kind of falling into. So you've got Elizabeth Sparkle, who is played by Demi Moore. And it's a little bit, I guess, of a parody of her own career to a degree. That in the sort of 80s, she was a huge star. She won an Oscar. She was an actress. She got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Over the years, she then has her own exercise show, very common in the 80s, 90s in America, like doing your Jane Fonda type aerobic activities. And she's had this show for years. She's just about to turn 50. Obviously, if anybody's seen any pictures, I've got a picture there of Demi Moore. Full screen, that one. Here, obviously, she looks pretty darn great for her age, or just great, to be honest. I hope I hold up that well. And basically say, she's about to turn 50. So the network are, she's past it. We need to get rid of the old bag, basically, is the language, and Dennis Quaid plays this kind of producer who of the show or the network, and basically just wants someone new, young, hot, what's the in thing, just bin her off. There's like almost like don't let the door hit you on the way out. And she's treated absolutely appallingly, really bad. When she's left the studio, there's a terrible accident. She ends up in hospital. Luckily, she's not badly hurt at all. But when she's there, someone hands her a USB stick with a note saying this changed my life. And initially, she sort of looks at it and throws it away, throws it in the bin. But then, as things progress, and the realization of losing her job, and more the way she's just treated and just sort of discarded. I mean, the whole thing's like she's discarded the same as a USB stick in the bin, right? There's a lot of I wouldn't even say subtext. It's just kind of there about how women are treated in Hollywood. That you've got Dennis Quaid, who's probably in his 60s now, maybe late 50s, 60s, and and there's a scene right towards the end where you see the shareholders, and they're all 60, 70-year-old white men calling the shots, but basically all these old farts basically saying there's no young people or young men, shall we say. They're all old farts basically dictating that we've got to have young, pretty, beautiful people presenting and on the stage, right? The sort of hypocrisy of all of this. So there's a lot of middle finger up to Hollywood, and this having to stay young, or even if you look great and you're looking after yourself, it doesn't matter. You're still the age that you are, and you're still done, regardless. It doesn't matter how much you look after yourself. You're not the latest shiny thing. We don't want you. So as a result of all of this and her getting ground down, she makes a phone call to the substance, and they explain to her what it is. And they basically take this substance, it will create a new version of you. You're the Matrix, as they call it. And it will be a younger, more perfect, beautiful version of you. But you are the same person. And the original person is awake for 7 days. And then the new person is awake for 7 days. So they alternate. So you've basically got, from the moment this thing's conceived, you've got to share your life for the rest of your life. 7 days on, 7 days off. So she sort of kind of in a moment of weakness, really, she goes ahead and does this thing. And the reason you see that scar in the poster here is basically this thing, basically your back splits open and this thing hatches out your back. Now there's quite a lot of body gore in this. I mean, I don't think it's any worse than if you watch The Fly, the remake, the Cronenberg Fly, you know, like teeth falling out or pulling off fingernails. It's kind of that, apart from the end, which we will come to. And you know, initially starts off okay. Now I've just got a few pictures up here. So the top right here is the new version of Demi Moore. I think what was her name? Margaret Qualley, 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 who's a very pretty girl, I will say. But the thing you're supposed to be is like younger, prettier, better. I didn't believe it. I mean, yes, she's younger, but you look at her standing next to Demi Moore. I've got this picture here, and here's a picture of Demi Moore when she was kind of like this actress's age. Demi Moore is so stunning and beautiful. And even now, I think she looks great. And for me, this girl just isn't pretty enough. I mean, she's young. She's got a stunning figure. And any guys watching this will love it. They're like in proper sort of 80s leotards, cutouts, thongs, like just about covering all the bits. And there is a lot of nudity in this as well, a lot of full frontal nudity from both actresses. So kudos to Demi Moore, again, at her age. Getting it all out, looks great. But there is, if you don't like nudity, this is not for you. If you don't like body horror and blood and substances, and yeah, this is not for you. So yeah, so that for me, that's I struggled with that I don't think she is prettier than Demi Moore when she was younger, or even now. Don't get me wrong, she's not ugly, but you really needed someone of like sort of probably Sydney Sweeney or Gal Gadot beauty, you know, to kind of stand up to be the replacement for Demi Moore. So no offense to that young lady, like say like, yeah, I mean, I'd kill for a figure, let me tell you. But when you're trying to do it, that this version is meant to be a better version of Demi Moore, didn't really gel for me, that. But lovely girl, very pretty, but just for me, not as pretty as Demi Moore, certainly at the equivalent ages. So that aside, so things go along. Obviously, the new version is she calls herself Sue. Again, not a very sexy name. I don't know where Sue came from, but anyway, unfortunately, like Tiffany or something, you know. But anyway, Sue auditions as Elizabeth Sparkle's replacement for this exercise show, which she gets, and it's now changed to Pump It Up, and she's like filming. So things are exploding and taking off for her. But she starts getting bored and frustrated because it's 1 week on, 1 week off. And the 1 week off, when Demi's character Elizabeth is up and around, she's almost coming like this recluse. And she just kind of sits on the sofa, watches a home shopping channel, eats all kinds of crap. And the younger version really starts to resent this because she's just like, I've got a life to lead. I've got everything going for me. Why do I have to keep swapping back with her when she's not even living her life? And from this point onwards, things really deteriorate. And so I'm not going to go too much more into it because we get into massive spoiler territory. But things go really, really badly. And if they don't swap every 7 days, bad things start to happen to Demi Moore's character. Now, by the end of this, the people coming, I thought it was quite obvious and quite well posted from the beginning of the they put a lot of emphasis on a certain scene and warnings around a certain thing that the character should or shouldn't do. So from that perspective, I was like, well, yeah, you kind of see that was going to happen. But then the end is bonkers. That's all I can say. The end is absolutely bonkers. It's grotesque. It's bloody. It's insane. You start getting to like John Waters territory. Insane, I think. And I'm not quite sure what to make at the end. So I really enjoyed this film. It's 2 hours 20, but to be fair, it goes pretty darn quickly. And I really enjoyed it. The end, I found a little bit disappointing, if I'm honest. And the people in the cinema with me, I went to like a late afternoon showing, so it's mainly like middle-aged people like myself, were laughing. Now, I'm not sure if that's the response you were supposed to get, because it's pretty grotesque what's going on, but we were just laughing because it's just so insane and batshit crazy that you're just like, what's the actual, where is this gone? I'm not quite sure what to think of this. And just a bit of a bonkers ending. And it's kind of like that bonkers ending that you get to 80s horror with things like Reanimator and From Beyond. It's that kind of bonkersness. So if you remember those horror films in the 80s, you'll probably like this. So it's like, Demi Moore is brilliant in it, and people have been saying like, she should be nominated for an Oscar. And I agree, she's absolutely fabulous in this. And hopefully, she does get more roles. Because again, it's like, just because you're over a certain age doesn't mean you can't act anymore. So excuse me. Yeah. So if you like horror and you like sort of David Cronenberg, things like say like Reanimator, those kind of schlocky 80s horrors, you will love this film. If you don't like I said, if you don't like blood, you don't like bodily fluids, you don't like nudity, you will hate every second of this film. So overall, I do recommend. I think it's definitely worth a watch. For me, the end was a bit dodgy, and like I say, people were just laughing. But I'd love to know what you think if you've been to see it. Did you like the end? Did you think the ending was stupid? Or was it, where else could this thing go? Who knows? But I thought it was a clever concept, well executed, well made, and the acting in it is just great. So if you want to talk about strong female leads, this is the film. This is how you do it. Okay, this is how you do it. Cool. So The Substance in cinemas now. Go check it out. Cool. Right, moving on. Lots to get through. Grotesquerie, I think it's pronounced. So this started last week on Fox Hulu in the States. Unfortunately, it's on Disney Plus here because we don't have Hulu. It's on the Stars part of Disney Plus. Knew absolutely nothing about this other than it's by Ryan Murphy. Obviously, as I said, the Monsters film shows and American Horror Story. So again, this is sort of, at the moment, you're not quite sure if it's supernatural, if it's not supernatural. So we've got a premise of a cop, a black cop, female detective. I know, shocker, because we don't get many of those, do we, these days? So I'm just looking up because you will know her. She is Niecy Nash. she's a bit Marmite. There's lots of things she's been in that I really don't like her in. She can be quite irritating. But again, she was in Monsters. She's in The Rookie Feds, which I can't stand. I love The Rookie. Can't stand that. She was in Scream Queens. She's been in quite a few horror films, but she sort of tends to play the same sort of character, sort of quite loud, bullshit, black woman, basically, for lack of another term. And she's basically an alcoholic, struggling. She's got a daughter who's obese, like massively overweight, but she's continuing to put on weight because she's trying to get onto some sort of reality TV show that's all about then losing weight or something like that. And the mum's sort of like trying to support her goals, even though she knows it's bad for her daughter. So they kind of get into this, right? I'll help you, feed yourself to death if you stop going on at me about drinking. I can drink what I want, when I want, wherever I want. We find out her husband is in a coma. I don't think they've said why yet, but he's in a coma, and it's in the strangest hospital ever with this sort of Nurse Ratched type of woman looking after him. And in the first episode, it's kind of implied that she's inappropriately touching her husband. She kind of walks in on her and she's like, oh, I'm just giving him a bed bath, but it looks like she's doing something else. So we've got this sort of premise all set up that she's very dysfunctional. There's issues at home, and then she gets called to a murder scene. What we're seeing over the course of up to episode 4 now is kind of religious tableaus being made out of dead bodies. There's some sort of religious undertones to all of this, or some of it's just very, very obvious. And in the latest episode, they basically find a body that's sort of Frankenstein. It's made up of different people's arms and legs and torsos. And obviously, the people that they're from is kind of, all of it is trying to spell out a kind of message, some sort of religious message. You've also got this crazy nun, played by Michaela Diamond, who's a bit freaky. She hasn't always been a nun, so she's had a life before she became a nun, shall we say. And she's kind of like a reporter for the Church magazine, and she's kind of befriended the policewoman and is trying to help her solve these cases because of the religious undertones. But obviously, she's been the church newspaper is trying to do salacious stories to try and get more attraction to the church and get people to read the paper, and obviously then also becomes church. And then we've got a really freaky, dysfunctional priest who's also played by Nicholas Andezada Chavez, who plays Lyle in Monsters. And this priest is weird. He pleasures himself and then flays himself with a cat and nine tails. So his back is absolutely covered in scars and marks and stitches, where he's doing this quite a lot. And then basically in the last episode, he ends up having sex with the nun because he's trying to form it like the values of the church need to change. We need to modernize, and we shouldn't have to be celibate. So he's like, and he's also very sort of fit, and he basically does this like a Peloton podcast where he's cycling, like doing spinning, like so he's promoting the church and all of this. He's not right in the head, this priest. So he's kind of like the number one suspect, I think, as to who's actually carrying out these murders, because he is not right in the head. So this is going along. The last episode they started getting quite freaky. They find these coordinates and they go out, and this is like this massive sinkhole on fire in the desert somewhere, and this is spreading, and it's like looking much more sort of supernaturally. But this killer is who he's targeting is linked to the policewoman somehow, but we don't know how yet. So we're 4 episodes in. I'm still finding it quite intriguing. I'm kind of interested where it's going. It needs to pick up the pace a little bit, but I'd say that the characters are very good. They're very well written. very rounded, you know, and you know, quite everybody so far is very dysfunctional. There's nobody in there that's anywhere normal. And you're looking at obviously this cop just kind of self-destructing with her alcoholism, but she's also the best cop that they've got. And you know, they like say like, you need to clean up your act because you're the only one that is like, you know, has got the nous to sort of solve this. So there is a little bit of, you know, woman, but by no means is she like a Mary Sue or, you know, anything like that. This woman's like not okay. And again, a dynamic with her daughter who's basically eating herself to death. So yeah, it's quite interesting, quite unusual to find it, I guess, on Disney, but I guess it's because it's actually a Hulu Fox. Anything that's worth watching on Disney over here is always from Fox, never from Disney. That's my observation anyway. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be everybody's cup of tea. I think if you in the UK and you remember the show Messiah, which was the police drama, and again, murders were done, and they all had religious connotations, that kind of thing. So I think if you like that sort of Messiah crime drama, but you also like a bit of sort of supernatural, darker, like the American Horror Story kind of, imagine it saying we don't know for certain anything supernatural is happening at all. It's kind of a little bit implied at the moment, but it does seem like it's just a very twisted individual that's doing it. There's nothing to say it is supernatural, but the way it's kind of building, we don't know. If you like evil, you'd like this, I think. So yeah, I'm not 100% sold on it yet. Again, has absolutely the possibility of going off a cliff, but so far I'm intrigued enough to know what's going on. We had 2 episodes released last week, 2 episodes this week, so do have a look. Let me know what you think. But say if you like the sort of dark, bit twisted, religious, iconography type, and the murder aspect, a bit like Seven, you know, that kind of thing, I think you'll like this. So let me know your thoughts on that one. And last but not least, Apartment 7A. So this dropped on Paramount here in the UK. So this is a prequel, I know, grown, to Rosemary's Baby. So again, why do we need this? I don't know. Look, as a film, it was okay, actually. It was all right. It was done pretty well. But does it add anything to Rosemary's Baby? Does it really add anything new that we didn't know before? No, is my answer. It doesn't really add another layer that you look at Rosemary's Baby and go, oh, wow, that's really cleverly tied in. Doesn't do any of that. It's basically, we don't know how long before this is Rosemary's Baby, but pretty recent. So the lead character here, as you can see, she's called Terry. Now in Rosemary's Baby, there was a character called Terry who had been staying with Minnie and Roman, and quite early in the film, and Rosemary got to talk to her, she ends up jumping or being pushed off the building that they're all living in. So initially I wasn't sure whether this was meant to be the same character or not. I don't think it is. It doesn't quite tie in, because there's no point is Rosemary in the building or has moved in, and based on the timings of the original one, they would have met and spoken. So I don't know if it's just coincidence that this character is also called Terry. Don't know. But if you watch this as kind of just a standalone film, it's pretty decent. I think the casting's really good. Diane Wiest and Kevin McNally taking over the roles from, obviously, Ruth Gordon and Sidney Blackmere, who were in the original Rosemary's Baby. Obviously, they were old then. So, but they've done a pretty good job of recasting and playing those roles. Obviously, a very eccentric couple. So you don't need to watch Rosemary's Baby, obviously, because this is a prequel. But you could absolutely watch this and then watch Rosemary's Baby. They haven't like really destroyed continuity or blown canon or anything like that. You could actually watch them kind of back to back. And so we've got this premise that this girl is a dancer. She's performing sort of off Broadway, and during a performance, she basically stacks it and knackers her ankle. She has to have an operation. The ankle doesn't fully recover properly, so she keeps going for auditions. She's not getting auditions because basically her ankle just isn't strong enough, and she really shouldn't be dancing on it. But she doesn't got any other skills, I guess. And things deteriorate pretty quickly for her, and she kind of ends up basically being homeless. And Minnie and Roman take her in and start looking after her. And then things kind of accelerate quite quickly. They sort of take her under her wing. Then they get a friend to look at her ankle, and they put some ointment on it. And then miraculously, her ankle's repaired. She goes for an audition and doesn't get it. But then the producer of the show lives in the building, is friends with Minnie and Roman. She goes to his apartment. They have a date. He then drugs her. Then we kind of have a scene similar-ish to Rosemary's Baby without the nudity. That clearly she is being conjugals with a demon or the devil. And again, she sort of wakes up, same as Rosemary's Baby. It's not a complete rehash of Rosemary's Baby, but it's kind of similar. Like I say, it doesn't really bring anything new to the table. Then she goes to the same thing of trying to figuring out what's gone on and who did she actually sleep with and what's the baby. And this whole unraveling that there'd been previous girls, and she's basically carrying the Antichrist, and what does she do about that? So I think it's a good enough watch. It would say fine. Kills a couple of hours on a Sunday afternoon, I guess. But like I say, it's all right, but doesn't add anything to Rosemary's Baby. Does it really need to have been made? No. Is it well made? Yeah, it's fine. So again, check it out. It's not bad at all. But did we really need it? No, I don't think so. So yeah, that's it, guys. There's quite a bit to get through there. We went on the longest shows in a while. Basically what you can do with a week off, isn't it? Oh my word. But pretty much everything this week, I'd say go check out. A bit of a mixed bag, not going to be everybody's cup of tea. So a couple of things so far so good, but could absolutely go off a cliff with the penguin and the grotesque query. That name is basically the name of the killer. He signed something, Grotesque Query. Weird name. Don't know. Maybe they'll explain it later on. But possibility to really, dive off. But so far, so good. So anyway, it's great to be back. Let me know what you think on all of those topics. Any views, thoughts, things you want me to go review. Hopefully, I'll be back with some Atomic Pop chat. As I've seen a couple of articles pop up in this week around our favorite topics of Disney, Star Wars, and again it's all the toxic fans' fault, not that we're writing crap articles. So we'll be commenting on those shortly. Excuse me. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the show. It's great to be back. Let me know what you think. And as always, I know it's boring. Please like, share, and subscribe. But it's the only way to get the channel out there. And I love talking to you guys and knowing your thoughts and sharing my views on what's out there. So have a great week. I will be back soon. You all take care, and I'll see you soon.